Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We are going through chapter 34, which is relationship building. So, this is another very short chapter. It's kind of a high-level overview of the importance of relationship building as a function of lead generation. So, if you've been in the business for a while, you've probably seen this play out with your sphere, with people you already know, and keeping in touch with them. I find the biggest challenge for a lot of agents is staying top of mind with enough people and finding that balance between keeping in touch enough without crossing that line into feeling annoying and salesy. And I don't want to just reach out to them for no reason to try to get a referral. No one wants that. They don't want that either. So, for today's conversation, of course, open to any questions you guys have off the bat. But I think it would be cool to share what you do to stay in front of your people and what works well. And we can all learn from each other. Some real life examples would be great here. So, and Paul just joined. Welcome. So, yeah, anyone have something they'd like to share around this? How do you build and sustain and keep in touch with your people, your relationships? Or if you have a question around that, that's cool too. Arlene, did you say something? I think you're muted.
I am muted, but I was thinking to myself very carefully because I'm of that I don't want to bother somebody. Like even as far as the other people that I'd love to reach out and talk to, I don't just call. Oh, they're going to be busy. Let me send a te email or let me send a text. And I find that sometimes that's not always the best way because I'm not the greatest at texting, and I feel like things can get lost in the translation. So I do try to just have a reason to call, but like it does it like I really try harder for the things that are non-real estate related
Yeah,
that they can really embrace or that they might not have known about. So like yesterday I found out something about New Jersey with the we always had trusts, and if somebody died with a trust it was one way. And apparently the law changed a couple of years back. So the people that did a trust, it might not be the best financial decision for them. So, they should really talk to their accountant again, how things have changed and how, so that's more of a easier call for me. So,
that's a brilliant example because it's something that is still tied into real estate, but it's super helpful and they probably don't know that on their own.
right. Because you wouldn't find that out unless you go through it. And
Right.
then once you go through it, it's already too late because if you die and it's still in the trust, the kids will have the inheritance tax. But if they had it as, a regular, the tax implications are very different. And
Yeah.
that changed a few years ago when they got rid of the estate tax. So
And how did you first hear about this change?
I actually was at an office meeting. They were doing a whole thing on estates. And I said, you know what? I want to make sure because I did have an issue once um, about an ownership. And, they had, we probate, I made sure they probated the will. But what I didn't know was the girl had, the one daughter had passed away. But being that and she passed away 15 years before that, unfortunately from a domestic violence issue, but she had divorced the husband for years. So they had been, no, lied. They were never legally divorced. That's where the problem came in. They were never legally divorced. She left him and they had separated for over 10, 12 years. And we couldn't sell the house until we located him to give him half that house.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing going to office meetings, learning what's new, the changes, and then taking that and using that as a reason to reach out. I love it. I love it. No one's going to be mad if you're like, hey, did you know about this new change? Such a good reason to reach out. Good example. Thank you. Who else wants to share how they stay in touch with their sphere without being annoying? Or how you build relationships from scratch? Because I know some agents move to a new area and they have to just start all over. That was me. I didn't grow up in Boston, so I had to just start from scratch and build it up from nothing.
So I will, no guarantees that it's not annoying, but I guess how do I stay in touch with people? So one thing that I try to do every day is look at people's birthdays, and I will either like wish them happy birthday on social or send them a text directly. So that's at least kind of an annual thing. I also do like a New Year's postcard. So that's a touch. I got a client newsletter that goes out monthly. And then for buyers that bought last year in January or so, I send them their settlement statement. Actually, sellers, both buyers and sellers from last year. I send them the settlement statement for taxes in terms of preparation for that. And then the first quarter, I do the equity analysis for people that, own houses and whatnot. And then I have a client appreciation event in the third or fourth quarter, kind of like the fall. Outside of that, it has been impossible for me to do TD2, but I try over and over and over again. And sometimes what I do is just when people come up into my consciousness, I just try to reach out to them, and I might show a house near where they live, and I might call them or drop them a text. Hey, I was in your neighborhood. I was just thinking about you guys. How are you doing? Or whatever, something along those lines. And that feels a little more genuine, I think,
Yeah.
because and it's not like, oh, well, I'm supposed to call you this week, whatever. Um, what else? And oh, for purchase anniversaries, I'm trying to be better about, 1 year, 5 year, and just reaching out to them for that purpose. So, yeah, there you go. Uh, oh, the other thing is, one of my goals is to have like personal sit downs, like whether it's coffee or dinner or lunch or a hike, approximately once a week over the course of the year. So I try to sort of build that and intentionally meet with people and, make sure I discuss real estate with them, remind them of a realtor, see if they have any needs or know anyone or, something like that. But very, very little component of that time together. So those are some things that I do to keep in touch.
That's great. I love it. I think the one-on-one meetings is really key, and it's such an easy thing to do, but I feel like it gets overlooked. I'm not sure why, but the beauty of it for me is if you spend an hour with somebody, you can spend 55 minutes talking about them or other things, and then 5 minutes talking about real estate, or 1 minute talking about real estate. And so it doesn't feel overwhelming, but it still gets in there.
I think it gets overlooked because it's hard to scale. And that's not like it's, if you can blast out an email to 20,000 people, that sounds better than, oh, I met with someone once a week for, once for the all year.
I think you're absolutely right. It is hard to scale, and I would argue that if it's with the right people, it has a bigger impact than emails. I mean, I'm all for doing an automated email here and there because it's free usually and or cheap and easy. So it's a combination of everything, really. But those impactful touches, like I don't meet other people. Like I'm never having people reach out to me for coffee unless it's another vendor trying to get referrals. But it's so rare that it's impactful, you know? A friend of mine texted yesterday and asked for coffee because she is thinking of some idea she wants to run by me. And we stay in touch on social, but I haven't actually seen her in probably 2 or 3 years. And I was so excited to get that text. Like, yes, I would love to meet with you. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm sure there are so many people in all of our spheres that would love to get that text. Like, hey, I've missed you. I want to see you. What's going on? Obviously, that's not going to be appropriate for every single person in your sphere. It depends your closeness of your relationship. But if you're doing Paul's system and you meet with somebody once a week, take a couple weeks off, that's 50-ish meetings a year. If 10% of them send you a referral, pretty good. I love it.
I will say so. My equity analysis, I started with my clients and then I just started adding people. I'm like, well, I know them and I'll just put them on the list. And I have a couple of, well, actually, I have a buyer under contract because I reached out to one of them and they were like, oh, hey, my sister is, he tried to connect me with his sister. She's been trying to buy a house and like, oh, I should put her in touch with you, and so now, and that sort of uh, precipitated, I guess, a transaction. And all I was just trying to do was be in touch with him. And I was not his realtor. And then the other one was, oh, hey, my grandma just passed away and it's going through probate right now. And I want to know if I think we might sell it or we might hang on to it to rent. So now he knows to contact me for, you know, direction or at least a conversation. So
That's fantastic. So these equity analysis, I'm gonna ask for you to elaborate a little bit if you don't mind. Is it something where you're offering to go into the house, or is it something you're just doing on the back end with the numbers and then you send it to them?
yeah, so it is I go into RPR. Actually, I don't do any of this. My assistant does it, but
Nice.
set up, there's like uh, a template and it's like a template for an email, whatever. Like I go into RPR, they go into RPR, put in the address, print out a report. The report generates what is the house worth and the change in the last month and the last year. And then those numbers go into like an email template, like, oh, hey, you own 123 Main Street. And there's like a, hey, this is something that I do for valued clients and friends and blah blah blah. And your house is worth this. And then it kind of talks about why you'd want to keep a finger on the pulse of the value of your home. Like you might want to refinance or you might want to do blah blah blah. And then I just send that to them with the report attached, and then I follow up with them and just let them know. I just leave them a voicemail or a text. Hey, I sent this to you. I do this once a year. And if you have any questions about it, great. And if you don't care about it, great. I just want you to know that it's there. And so just to be, I'm not just trying to get something from them, I'm giving them something. And so it gives them an idea of what their house is worth. Um, and then an opportunity to talk to them, a touch. So,
That's awesome. I love how leveraged that is too. So many great examples so far. Thank you. Sharon or Ina, either of you have anything you'd like to add?
Unfortunately, this is not an area that I am particularly good at.
No?
Uh, I try. I try to keep in touch. There are certain clients that I do keep in touch with. I do a lot of my contacts with, I'm involved in a couple of organizations. So sort of a natural follow-up kind of thing. I don't initiate real estate conversations with them, but I I do make it known that I'm a real estate agent and have gotten a business that way. But in terms of um, following up with my sphere, I made a stab at it earlier this year, and um, for a couple of weeks, it was like a New Year's resolution. And so for a couple of weeks, I did really great. And then I kind of fell off and I kept trying to get back to it. And I have been just a miserable failure at that.
Oh,
Um, but I just, I've got a client that I do keep in regular touch with, and they just referred me a friend of theirs. Um, so it still happens. It's just not, I need to work harder at that.
yeah. Don't beat yourself up over it though. I mean, it's definitely number one, it's harder than it seems. Number two, there are a lot of different ways to do this. It doesn't have to be any of these things. It doesn't have to be phone calls or in person or texts, or it could be something else entirely, or it could be a combination. So I say my advice is just do as best as you can. And even if it's, 1% better than you're currently doing, then that's a win, right? What did we talk about last week? It was getting outside your comfort zone but only for 10 minutes. This is a good example of that. Reaching out to Sphere or past clients, if it's been a while, it can feel really weird and are they going to get mad or they're not going to get mad. They don't even know how long it's been. No one's paying
They
attention.
don't they don't get mad. I that was my experience in the first couple of weeks. I had a schedule. I was calling 5 people a day, and um, and like the very first day I called, I I think I talked about this at a meeting a few weeks back. Um, I called someone that I had helped purchase a house, and I had, left her a couple voicemails here and there over time, but not much. But I called her, and she had just gotten off the phone with her brother, telling him that she was planning to list her house and she needed to call me. And the next thing you know, I had called her just like right after she hung up with her brother. She was just speechless.
Amazing.
Uh, yeah. And in that same batch of people was another client, same thing, maybe a voicemail here and there, but it had been a number of years, and she too is planning to list her house little bit later this spring. She was planning to do it in April, but I called her last week and she said she wasn't. She had a surgery scheduled, so she was going to be a little delayed, but um,
Happens.
and that was my big success was like the first day I got these two great leads and then nothing for the next 2 weeks. And so,
How it goes.
but I had some great conversations, and no, right, you were right. Nobody got mad at me. I just, powered through, picked up the phone and dialed the number, and just either left the voicemail or talked with somebody. And, um, most everybody remembered me. And so
Do you
it
want to hear my
works. It
challenge to
works.
you?
Yes.
Okay. Since you started at 5 and now we're at 0, which is totally fine, my challenge to you is to talk to, well, at least make one call a day. Just one every day. Oh, weekdays.
You know what I figured out in that first 2 weeks doing 5 calls? Because I had tried that, just one call a day or 2 calls a day. I felt like it was way too easy for me to blow off
Hmm.
one call or 2 calls. But if I had a list of 5 people and I didn't call those 5 people, then the next day I had 10 people to call, as opposed to the next day having 2 people to call. So it felt easier for me to have a list of 5 people to call because it was too easy to blow off 1 or 2. But that's just me.
And that's
But I
really,
accept your challenge.
no, I really love the self-awareness. Like, I'm just throwing that out there because it's the first thing that came to mind. It could be maybe it's even easier to have a goal of 10 or 15 people once a week, and you just knock it out and then you're done for the week. Something you can play around, not just you, Sharon, but you, everyone listening and watching the replay, play around with different things and find what's going to work well for you. And we're all going to be different, but something is better than nothing.
I forgot one more thing.
What you got?
I've been sending my super fans half birthday cards, and
Ooh.
I handwrite them, and like no one gets a half birthday card, so it's a way to kind of get in there, and it's a handwritten thing. So I just mail it, and it's probably like I don't know 2 or 4 a week or something. So I pick one day a week, and I took a while to kind of like get the calendar fleshed out, all that, but so that's like another thing I do. That's like another touch. So FYI.
That's a good one. You're right. No one's doing half birthday cards. Most people aren't doing birthday cards. Most people are clicking that. I did this today. Guilty. Most people are clicking where it says happy birthday on Facebook and it's auto-populated and you just hit. It's the laziest thing. I just did it like an hour ago. So I'm guilty of that too. But that's one other thing you mentioned earlier today that I wanted to circle back to. Sending a text versus a Facebook message or a Facebook post for a birthday has so much more of an impact. It's crazy. Like I just had my birthday a month ago and I got some texts and a million birthday posts, which I definitely appreciated very much. I got some messages. Um, I got like one phone call. So it's really interesting to see the pockets of opportunity where you can stand out. All right. You guys are awesome. So next week, I have a conflict. So we're going to skip next week and I will see you in 2 weeks. I will try to remember to go into Zoom and delete that one session, which I don't always remember to do. Thank you for all being flexible with me and my crazy calendar. So we'll skip next week and I will see you on April 9th. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks so much. Sounds
And
great.
see you at the top of the hour too, if you want to join for the direct mail webinar we're doing.
What is that?
It's through KW Wellness. It's the once a month webinar that I host. And today we're talking about snail mail for introverts. So I have, oh, Ina's awesome. She's the one who's running that for us. And she just put the link in the chat. It's free. It's 2 o'clock Eastern today, so just in a half hour. We're going to run through 7 different types of snail mail for lead gen for introverts.
Excellent. Thank
Is
you.
that going to be recorded?
Yes.
How would
They're
I get a
all
copy?
they're all recorded, and when you sign up for on that link, it'll register you for the whole series for the rest of the year. So,
Okay.
all right, cool. See you guys later. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
long,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.